Hi, I hope everyone's having a spectacular day today. In this video, I'm going to be doing some love notes from your person. This is going to be a message cards only reading, and there are 3 groups to choose from. Group 1 is the Angel Aura Quartz. Group 2 is the Fairy Quartz. And group 3 is the Amethyst. So if you want to take a moment to center, focus on your breathing, and feel whichever group, maybe multiple groups, or perhaps all of the groups that you're most drawn to. I'll give you a minute to make your selection, and then we'll get right into it. And there are timestamps in the description box of the video for each group if you'd like to jump ahead. And up next is a close-up photo of the crystals to help you better make your selection. Hi, Group 1. You chose the Angel Aura Quartz. So let's see what your person wants you to know right now from their higher self. Okay, the first one we have is it too late to apologize? So it feels like there may have been a misunderstanding between you and your person, something in terms of like their tone of voice when you were last speaking with one another, or words that didn't come out correctly, that there's a sense of feeling that you might not understand just how important you are to them, and wanting to remedy that, not through necessarily words or, because communication of like their feelings might not be their strongest skill in terms of love language, but there's a sense of like, let me try a different approach. Let me show you how it is that I feel. Let me demonstrate that through some kind of act of service, that I don't just consider you and this situation between us to be something temporary, to be something fleeting. Even if there's like a distance that has been created between the two of you, or that has existed in this situation, like if it's a long distance connection, it's a sense of the circumstances might not be ideal geographically or actually between the two of us at present, but I see this as a circumstance worth waiting for, worth fighting for, worth trying to kind of find ways to compromise, ways to meet in the middle, ways to kind of bridge the gap between the two of us to create more sacred or precious moments, because I don't want to lose you. I don't want to lose what we have. I don't want to lose what we have built. And anything that is unsatisfactory as far as like the past between the two of you, there's a sense of like, let's make this right. I'm willing to kind of step beyond my comfort zone or my approach to you in this situation up to this point, because I need you to understand that you are important to me. This matters. I think of you, and I think of everything that I've been looking for my whole life, and the person that I want to be with in a long-term capacity. We also have, I'm hiding my true feelings for you. Yeah, so there's a sense that, again, like communicating their feelings, romantic words and like words of poetry might not be their strong suit. And so there's a sense of efforts that they've made up to this point in time have fallen short of capturing the true meaning of what the feelings for you are, what has developed, where they see the future of the connection. So this is somebody that's, again, strategizing some kind of different approach, so that you know that this isn't just something where they're trying to get back in your good graces or get you to let your guard down only to disappoint you, but there's a sense of almost like wanting to rebuild trust or strengthen what you have with one another at this point. from a different angle, from a way that they are more comfortable sort of showing themselves, acts of service, maybe even like gifts or planning some kind of an occasion or a surprise, something that is, special, that is unique, that is reflective of the things that you like, that you're interested in, that lets you know that this is somebody who is invested in you, not just in kind of a surface level circumstance, not someone that wants to be in and out of your life or just experience something very temporary with you, but it's almost the sense of like, I feel very satisfied with you on all levels, and I want to make sure that you understand that on many different levels as well. They also say, I shouldn't have let you go. So this can tie into, again, some kind of like a misunderstanding, something that was kind of didn't come out right in terms of an interaction between the two of you. This may be like a full no contact situation, or just something about kind of a recent interaction where there's a sense of almost there was a letdown, there was a palpable disappointment, even if you had a smile on your face, that didn't reflect kind of their intention of like a conversation that they had, or maybe even just where you're at this point in your circumstance with one another. If it's been vague, if they haven't really made any kind of promises or haven't made their intentions like fully or clearly known in some sort of way, there's a sense of they can feel a distance growing between the two of you, and they're wanting to prevent you closing off to them emotionally. If it's taking them some time to get to the place in their life emotionally, actually kind of work up the courage to express those feelings, or anything that needs to happen in order to clear up misunderstandings or create more closeness, there's a sense of, I don't want you to give up on me. I don't want you to give up on us. But I also don't want you to feel or start to question, like, if you're waiting in vain, is this worth your while? Is this just going to be a circumstance which gets your hopes up and lets you down? So it feels like this person is going to try to come towards you again with something that'll sort of show you you're important, you matter to them. If you've been in a no contact with one another, they may present something that shows you, like, I've been thinking about you this whole time. I think about the times we spent together fondly. I have vivid memories of our experiences with one another, and I want to get back to those sweeter or more innocent times that we shared. They also say, my nerves get the best of me sometimes. Yeah, so it feels like in their own way, kind of taking a leap of faith forward towards you, expanding beyond the nature of your interactions or what they've shown or revealed up to this point in time. It's a sense of opening up and being vulnerable in a way that can strengthen your bond. But then it's also, if there's misunderstanding with that, if that doesn't resonate with you, it's kind of a risk to their pride and ego. It's a risk to the deep feelings that they have within that may just be a struggle to communicate, or there may be other circumstances that kind of prevent them from being just open and honest with you at this time about what they're feeling. Like, if there's geographic distance between you, it's almost a sense of, yeah, I can tell you that I love you, but if we can't see each other every day and we can't talk about, let's move in with one another, let's take things to the next level, then it's almost a sense of kind of like, is it better to keep it bottled up, or is it better to sort of get that out on the table? And then it adds in this element of like deep yearning for one another. And so it's kind of like a risk to sort of present more to you, declare more to you, show you more of like their feelings. They also say, I can't stop thinking of you. Yeah, so you're heavily on this person's mind. They see you as wish fulfillment. They feel so lucky to have met you, happy to have you in their life. You bring a lot of joy and peace and contentment to this person. And so this is somebody that wants to go the extra mile to secure a future with you, to make sure that you feel deeply appreciated. You feel like somebody that, is not just a side character in their life, but you have a very special place. You take precedence over a lot of other people in their reality, or they're wanting to make you more of a central person within their reality. It may just be taking time to get to that place, kind of thinking, strategizing, how do we bridge this gap between the two of us? How do we clear up these misunderstandings? How do we get to the place where, there is certainty within each of us that we're ready for what comes next in our relationship? How do we really move beyond any kind of doubts, any sort of lack mentality, anything where each of you might be wondering, like, am I enough? Am I enough for this connection? Is what I have to offer going to be received by this person in a positive way, or am I going to be rejected? Is this going to fall apart? And there may be like past circumstances of heartbreak that have been triggered within this person's memory recently. The idea of like people that they'd invested in previously, or had even kind of been in a place of wounding and had opened up to the wrong people, invited the wrong people into their reality, and how things fell apart, and sort of like efforts that they've made to, you know, release and shed and heal and forgive that version of them that, you know, maybe was a bit naive, or was just not very discerning, like things that they've done to level up, you know, even things that would have been beautiful connections and just fell apart, and kind of the wounding that resulted from that. There's a sense of like, I don't want to let that hesitation or those bad memories stop me from being very present in the moment with you in here and now, and look towards what we have as something that can continue to be fulfilling for us, that can become more fulfilling, that can lead to, you know, creation of experiences other than just sort of living with the memory of things that had fallen apart in the past. You also say, I don't want to let you down. Yeah, so it feels like this person is recognizing that there's some aspects within themselves that they may need to strengthen. It feels like the words and affirmations of love, it's not come out right, or it's, there's almost like a big declaration that they want to make, but it might be like, is it too soon? Have too many things happened between the two of us? Like, where do we go from there? And so there's a sense of, they're almost kind of scaring themselves in terms of like, here are these big feelings. I want something more with you. I want something deeper. For some of you, this may be a person's like, I see you as the one. I see you as my forever person. And I'm so afraid of mishandling that opportunity. I'm so afraid of not being everything that you're looking for, you know, further down the road, not just in the here and now, but like 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 30 years from now. Are you still going to be happy that you chose me, that you chose us, that you chose this life together? And so there's a sense of almost like recognizing that the best approach at this point is to switch gears into a love language that is more organic for them. So again, like acts of service, gift giving, something that kind of, it may be a different approach to how they've presented to you so far, but it's they're an adept in that sense. That is kind of the natural way in which they give or show up for people that they love. They also say, I don't want to hide this connection anymore. So some of that like acts of service can be, you know, something like, I want to introduce you to my friends and family. I want to, you know, start to bring you more into my world and into my reality. I want to start, you know, speaking about us in terms of we instead of just you and me or I, and a sense of kind of little things that they can do to let you know that while there are still details being worked out at this point as far as like what the future between the two of you will look like, how the next phase of your relationship will take shape, that you are on their mind. You are somebody that they consider should be a part of the next chapter of their reality, that they're determined to like find a way to make you fit into that, no matter the cost, no matter what that sort of requires, sacrifices they have to make, or ways in their life they need to level up in some sense. It's almost like, I don't want to lose you. I don't want you to fear that you're just an afterthought, or I'm just here for a good time but not a long time. And they also say, I'm not blind to the signs, I do see them. Yeah, so again, this kind of ties into the idea of something as far as your tone of voice, your body language. Maybe you've even pulled your energy back. You changed the ways in which you're communicating with them. You know, you might have kind of had to put your guard up in some sort of way because there's just not been a lot of clarity, or there might have been a lot of sort of nebulous energy for a while. Or if it's like a no contact situation, it's almost like, okay, I know my worth, I have self-respect, and I'm not just going to sit here waiting for someone that's not taking any action. So they may have sensed you kind of like redirecting your thoughts towards yourself, looking towards the future, and sort of like, okay, well, universe, what else is out there as far as love and partnership and romance is concerned? They may have also, heard from the grapevine, you're dating people, you're getting ready to kind of step into that version of you. This person could be watching you on social media even, and there's a sense of like, I want to be that one by your side. I want to be that person that shows up for you. I don't just want this to be a temporary experience or something, from our past, an idea of what could have happened, if things had gone different. So it feels like for a lot of you, this is something, again, where they're recognizing that they need to give more into the situation than had been the case previously in order to ensure that like they are coming towards you. They are making effort. They're trying their best to kind of work with the details of the circumstance as it exists right now. But as your situation exists right now, that's not all they want in this situation. They don't want it to be limited. They don't want the distance to continue. They don't want, much more of a prolonged period of like no contact or misunderstandings, or there's something that they feel they need to do, or to present or to provide that lets I want something more in this situation. I want you in a long-term sense. I'm invested in us, not just for now, but in the long term. And they also say, I do pray about us. So this is almost the idea of like praying to God to save you for them, knowing that, this may take some effort or creativity on their part in order to smooth out any misunderstandings that have happened, especially if it's somebody resurfacing from the past. This can be the sense of, they're not sure of how you're going to react if they show back up, if they reach out. Are you going to give them the time of day? Are you going to respond to them? Are you just going to ignore them, block them, slam the door in their face, give them a piece of your mind? There's a sense of like, I want to start over. I want to do over in this situation. I want to do right by you. I want to do better than I've done up to this point in time, and letting you know you're everything to me. I cherish you. I value you. I want to move in a better direction with you. I want to do whatever we have to do at this point in order to course correct this situation towards like a happy future together, rather than sort of continuing to drift apart, or letting time sort of close that window of opportunity between you. So I'm also going to get some initials. This can be a first, middle, or last name, or can spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Got B, P, A, U, Q, T, I, B, W, D, P, L, D, A, S, R, I, C, E, M, and V. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer those through my Etsy shop, and there's a link to that in the description box of the video. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 2. You chose the fairy quartz. So let's see what your person wants you to know right now from their higher self. First one we have is I let my fears get the best of me. So this feels like somebody who is very overwhelmed by how quickly they developed feelings for you and has kind of pumped the brakes in the situation. I'm hearing I can't let myself fall in love. So there may be some kind of like work connection. This could be somebody within like a friend circle. There could be an age difference between the two of you where there's almost something in terms of like the dynamic between you where there's almost like societal conditioning, previous kind of concepts of the way in which love would walk into their life, what that would look like, the circumstances, surrounding that are kind of gatekeeping this person, accepting the idea that kind of when they weren't looking for it in the place they weren't looking for it at the time in their life when they weren't expecting to find love or romance or a deep connection with another individual, you have appeared, you've come into their reality. This can also be somebody who has walked away from you and they're having a hard time admitting that like they made the wrong choice. They still love you. They've always loved you. Maybe this is somebody who had the opportunity to progress forward with you and denied their feelings, pushed you away in that sense. And this is an energy of I didn't act according to my heart space. I lied to you. I lied to other people about the nature of my feelings because I was scared of those feelings because the circumstances didn't seem like just a straight and linear path. There were challenges or it required them to step outside of their comfort zone or, up level in some sort of way in their life. And they chose the easy route away from you, away from investing in this connection. And they are filled with regret. They're filled with sorrow. There's a sense of, I wish I could turn back the hands of time because I would have made another choice as far as you are concerned. And they also say, I'm scared you will reject me. Yeah, so it feels like there's something about this connection or this person that is very unconventional. They may have self-esteem issues or there's just aspects of them that they're aware of that there's almost like you're not aware of these things or you may have had like glimmers of awareness of this, but it's like the reality of them. Could you live with this? Could you live with somebody like me? Circumstances that are not ideal in the situation between the two of you that may require compromises on your part, adjustments on your part in order to fit into their world and their reality. And it's a sense of like, am I asking too much? Would you have to leave too much behind in terms of your expectations, the life that you are living? Is that even appropriate to ask such things of you early on or at all? And so there's a sense of they really wonder if who they truly are as an individual and everything that comes with them, any sort of baggage, any kind of obligations, anything that is kind of outside of the ordinary in this situation in terms of, similar peer groups or, kind of level playing field and more of surface level qualities between people. There's a sense of almost like we could be from two different worlds, two different generations. We could be like night and day, yin and yang. And is this something where you will see that as an asset, as a benefit, rather than a drawback? It's almost like you may need to adapt or sort of learn about one another or about one another's lifestyle or things that it would be more than just opening up the heart space and like confessing feelings. It'd be more than taking a leap of faith as far as love is concerned. And so there's a sense of kind of like, is this too much? Would this bring too much of like a burdened energy into your world? If you got to know the real me, would you feel a different kind of way? This can also tie into the idea of, a past person or someone who walked away or rejected you, or just chose not to progress forward with the connection. Like, is it too late to turn this around? Would you even hear what I have to say at this particular point in time, or has the moment passed? Has the spark faded? They also say meeting you is the best thing that ever happened to me. Yeah, so they've had some time to reflect and they have determined that their actions in the past or inactions were largely based on fear and like they rejected you, but they were really rejecting themselves, not kind of seeing beyond the surface and believing that love takes many forms. Love knows no face, and yet they judge the situation on face value. Situations and circumstances in both of your lives, or maybe in their life, or perhaps what was going on in your life that would have required patience. It would have, like the idea of love is patient, love is kind, that patience might have been required very early on. And that is something that it felt, some part of them, some fear-based quality was like, if I show up for this person in this way, at this point in time, are they just gonna move beyond a difficult phase and sort of heal themselves and then leave me, move on towards someone else? Or if there are situations going on in my life where I can't commit fully and we'd have to keep it quiet for a period of time, or just sort of move very delicately through this, is that something that they would be willing to kind of to do and to compromise? And on the other side of that, are they going to like the person that they find, or are they going to be happy with that choice, or would there be resentment? Would this be the energy of someone who feels they'd wasted their time on the potential of someone, and the actuality of who I am or who I am to become doesn't match up with kind of that first impression? So there's a sense of almost feeling that you are a diamond that they threw back in the ocean, and this is almost somebody that they've not been able to fully detach from you in the situation. They've not been able to rest. They've looked for you and other people to no avail. And so there's a sense of coming back around, and like, I understand that we had something very precious. We had an opportunity that was once in a lifetime, and my actions or my inactions has now created other complications, but I want to see if we can try again. I'm willing to kind of move beyond the stubbornness or feeding too much into that fear, because I see your value, I see your worth. I see you as someone who brings a better energy into my life than I otherwise have in my reality, or than I've ever known before, or that I have within myself in general. It's like you help this person sort of see and recognize who they are beneath the surface. And that this is something, there's like a truth and an honesty here in terms of what they have felt, or even, how you've danced around the topic of feelings with this person maybe in the past, that it's been a magical experience. It's been something that's been deeply fulfilling to them in a way that nothing else has been. And so this is someone, it feels like, that is wanting to approach, but with more flexibility about this situation, or open-mindedness, than they had had in the past. I'll say, you give me so much to look forward to. So this may be somebody that's like in your world, in your reality, on like a somewhat regular basis. And there's a sense of, even if they haven't like made their feelings known, or they're playing kind of aloof, they're being sort of coy with you, they really do feel something inside whenever you walk in the room, whenever they see a picture of you, whenever they see your face, whenever they hear your voice. There's a very noticeable reaction inside of them, that at first might have been kind of startling, but they're seeing is, it's a call to adventure. It's something which beckons them outside of everything they've known as far as love and partnerships. You're very different than anybody they've ever had romantic attachment to. There's a questioning as far as like how you'd fit into one another's worlds and realities, but there's a sense of that is no longer considered an impenetrable obstacle. It's almost like raw material to work with. So they may be doing a lot of strategizing at this point as far as like how to create new opportunities between the two of you, how to make up for lost time, how to kind of acclimate you to their reality, or prepare themselves to immerse themselves in your world, in the world as you see it, in the life that you are living. They also say, you're the only one who truly gets me. So this person may kind of like hide who they are behind masks that society or their profession or their family and their upbringing has kind of required them to wear, or has convinced them is kind of the best way to move through life. This might be somebody that's very practical and logical, and those things take precedence over matters of the heart. Like, it's got to make sense on paper. Things have to align properly. They may be a very risk-averse person, and so what you've stirred inside of them, it is unconventional. It's not in the plan. This wasn't part of the equation. They didn't anticipate encountering you or feeling anything for you or falling in love love with you. And so there's a sense of almost, they understand now at this point that these feelings are registering to something more aligned with like the core of who they are, them on an authentic level that is very different from the version of themselves that others may find acceptable, or that they've had to become for the sake of others, for the sake of appearances. There's a sense of, I can take off my armor in your presence and relax. I feel accepted by you, even if there's a lot that you don't know about one another. There's a sense of, it feels right. And that might be new territory for this person. They could be they follow their instinct, they follow their gut, but this is almost like a deeper sense of like, something feels right. It feels aligned about this situation. So you may have really opened this person's mind to start to explore different things like soul connections, soulmates, the idea of kind of getting to know sort of their own intuition, their own kind of subtle way of moving through reality, not just in a quantitative fashion, not just in a logical fashion, not just in a practical fashion, but factoring in kind of what the heart wants. The satisfaction of that emotional space is just as important as stability, success, prestige that may have been kind of enculturated within them as the markers of somebody who is really making it in life, somebody who's winning. You also say, I'm sending you telepathic messages. So it feels like this person has like conversations in their head with you. They may be scripting what they want to say, practicing, rehearsing that, kind of building up the courage, working up the nerve to speak more directly about your situation with one another, to start to make plans and preparations to kind of take this connection to the next level, spend time with you outside of the ordinary circumstances, something where it's almost like energy flows where attention goes. And so that might be what you're picking up on, is kind of hearing these loving energies, these very heart-based thoughts that are specifically directed towards you, of like, I want to get this out in the open. I want to verbalize this. I want to express this to you. And it's coming from a very true and genuine place within them, which means it's being received already through feelings, through kind of flashes of intuition, maybe things happening in dreams and downloads, signs and synchronicities manifesting all around you that are letting that authentic part of you know there's a connection here. It goes beyond the surface. It transcends the ordinary, but there is something real and deep that exists in this kind of unspoken realm between you and this individual. They also say, I'm going to take action. I'm just planning the approach. So they're very nervous to kind of open up and speak, open up and say something. There's a sense of like, I don't want to add complications to your life. I don't want to come on too strong. I don't want to open up old wounds, especially if they like rejected you in the past and you've had to like move forward. There's a sense of almost like, I don't want to hurt you. I don't want to break your heart. I don't want to bring kind of chaos or uncertainty into your world, into your reality, but I see what you mean to me. I was unable to kind of see what mattered in life before from that heart space. Person might have had like a heart chakra awakening, heart chakra opening. They could have had like a spiritual awakening, gone through a dark night of the soul, or going through a dark night of the soul. It's like, I see now what really matters, what true wealth beyond material opulence, what that means. For all the success I've created for myself, for all that I've amassed in terms of like material wealth or privilege or, titles and things that they've acquired in this life, there's a sense of you fill some kind of space more deeply within them that feels like that is a type of wealth that transcends this lifetime. It's the wealth of the soul. So they definitely may consider you like a soulmate, that this is like a soul connection. If they were sort of unaware of such things before, or in denial of such things before, it feels like they've reached some place within of like, that feels like the most right explanation of what we have going on between the two of us from anything else that I've thought of or have explored in this situation. And with that knowing, there's a sense of, I've never experienced this with anyone else before. I don't want to take a risk and see if there's anyone else out there that I could meet on such a deep level. And so it's a sense of somebody wanting to circle back around, make up for lost time, do what they were unable or unwilling to do in the past. They also say, I'm not blind to the signs, I do see them. Yeah, so there's that confirmation of, you're heavily on this person's mind, you're in their heart space, as they are for you. So that idea of kind of, there's communication happening between the two of you, not just higher selves, but it's being perceived by each of you uniquely, but in a very conscious way, in a 3D sense. Though there may be silence between the two of you, there's almost the sense of kind of reassurance, of like, okay, even while there's so much unspoken or so much that needs to be developed or built between the two of us in the material sense, everything is beckoning this person forward to continue to take steps in your direction, continue to open their mind to this, open their heart to this, take baby steps, even energetically. If they've kind of increased their spiritual knowledge, this can also be somebody who's like trying to reach out to you energetically, trying to reach out to you telepathically, trying to astral project to you in the sense of like, this is my first step towards you. This is my conscious effort to touch upon you energetically speaking and let you know I'm on my way. I'm coming towards you. This feels right. This feels unique. This feels like where I want to be is in your presence, in your energy, in your life. They also say, I'm always reminded of you. So this is somebody who's done running from these feelings. They're done running from this connection. They're done trying to like hide away behind the mask that they have built for themselves to survive their life. They're ready to step into the experience of thriving as an emotional being, thriving within the nature of this strange and powerful bond that the two of you share with one another. There's a sense of like, I can't escape these feelings. I can't turn these feelings off. You've activated something within me and I need to face you. I need to be in your presence. I need to kind of make up for lost time or remedy any hurt that has occurred between the two of us. So I'm going to close this out with some initials. This can be a first, middle, or last name, or can spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Got C, Z, Y, O, E, P, A, Y, W, J, N, K, S, D, L, B, L, R, P, T, H, and A. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer those through my Etsy shop, and there's a link to that in the description box of the video. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 3. Chose the amethyst. So let's see what your person wants you to know right now from their higher self. And we have, I sabotaged our connection out of insecurity. So if this is someone who has kind of abruptly backed off from the situation, their energy's changed, you thought things were headed in one direction, and now there's been kind of some sort of significant change within their demeanor, change within the frequency of contact, a lot of excuses that they may make up, in terms of like being busy, not being able to like communicate with you, or anything that you may feel is kind of on the horizon as like something's off. This may have triggered your defenses to go up as well. There's a sense of almost like this person suddenly getting not so much cold feet, but almost feeling like, are you seeing me accurately? Are you just in love with like my potential, or are you attracted to a version of me that you anticipate I can become or I will become that is not reflective of like who I am in this moment? This person, it feels like, is very challenged to grow and to up level in order to match your frequency and vibration. They may be looking at the life that they're living, experiences that they've been through that have shaped them in a certain way. And it's a sense of almost like, I don't know what you see in me. I don't know if I can be what you need me to be. I don't know if I'm cut out for this, or if I have what it takes to kind of go through some sort of rebirth process, and who am I going to be on the other side of that? So it's somebody who's kind of like clinging to their wounding at this particular point in time, or may feel very like intimidated by some kind of quiet strength within. They don't feel worthy of your compassion. They don't feel deserving of your love in this moment. They may be confronting some shadows, or other thing has kind of like come up in their life in some sort of way that has humbled them, or that has reminded them of things they've taken for granted. Maybe this is even like things they've learned and discovered about you, who you are, what you've been through, that really has caused them to kind of look at their own life and say, why did I ever think I had it so hard? What have I been complaining about? What is my excuse if this individual has been through certain things or has experienced certain disappointments and heartbreak, and yet they show up to their life with a smile on their face even on the worst days? They're extending love towards me, and they've been shattered by multiple people before. What's my excuse for holding back? What's my excuse for thinking I'm broken beyond repair, when this individual, you the viewer perhaps, maybe has been through things that makes their kind of worst days pale in comparison to what you've survived, what you've come out the other side of, thriving, glowing, even more loving and more compassionate of an individual as you compared to who you were before things were upended in your world and your reality. So this is almost somebody who may be kind of going through a dark night of the soul in general at this point. They feel very self-conscious. They feel like you would be somebody who would understand, who would be there for them, but then there's also a sense of like, I have to walk this part of my journey alone. You shouldn't be the one to like hold my hand or lift me up. This may be somebody who has a hard time receiving love. And they could be at a place right now where it's like, I need love, I need compassion, but I don't feel worthy to receive that. So I'm going to push you away because you are a very loving presence in my reality. You are a light in my life, and I don't feel this version of me is good enough to be seen in the light of day by you. They also say, I'm so happy when I am around you. So there is a lot of regret for any distance that they may have created, even just inadvertently. This almost was like somebody where some kind of raw nerve was touched upon, and just very quickly they like went in their shell. They just kind of disconnected in some sort of way. That might have led to a lot of confusion as far as you are concerned, which they're seeing that you've rerouted yourself in a very poised and graceful manner beyond any sort of stumblings that have happened in this situation. You're just continuing to kind of be undiminished. They haven't dimmed your shine in the least bit by their reaction, or lack of reaction, or the response, even just energetically, even these kind of like quiverings of uncertainty that you may sense now within. There's a sense that you're not begging, you're not running after them, you're not chasing them. You're honoring and respecting their repositioning of themselves, which it feels like they've never encountered somebody like that before, which has kind of made them question, like, they've never received treatment from someone like you are treating them. And there's a sense of like, Was all of this just imagined? Were you just kind of invested in some version of me that could be shaped to the future? You seem so unbothered by what has happened, or maybe you've given this person a piece of your mind, you've advocated for yourself, you've set some healthy boundaries, and it's a sense of almost like it's shocked them, it's humbled them in some sort of way. It's caused them to have to like look very deeply in the mirror and really wonder kind of like, why did I self-sabotage? Why am I questioning this? Why have we come this far and I'm like backing out now, or I'm getting confused now, I'm getting cold feet at this point. They say, I'm ready to commit. So they don't want this distance that has been created or just some kind of energetic confusion. They don't want that to last. They don't want that to ruin the potential between the two of you. If they have kind of pulled back and gone silent, they don't want to stay gone for too long. If there's been something where you've been very direct with them, you've kind of put your guard up, there's a sense of like, I don't want to let too much time go by before I come back to you with some kind of an explanation, some evidence of having leveled up, or at least coming to a place within myself of readiness, willingness, and ability to open up and let you know about my insecurities, the aspects about myself that have been triggered, that are uncomfortable, that are painful to look at. Some kind of truth that they need to provide to you, that kind of their ego is really kind of talking them out of doing that. It's kind of like, okay, there's been some confusion that's happened. Maybe it's best to just kind of leave it at that and move in another direction. Let this continue to kind of become more awkward or to fall apart. And there's a sense of like their higher self, or like a higher version of them, that they feel that they can become, that maybe they'd started to sort of shape shift into, and it made them very self-conscious. Like, I don't recognize this version of me. I actually feel good. I feel worthy. I feel received and seen by someone in a loving way. That can't be right because it's unlike what I've known with everyone else in my life up to this point. And so they kind of backed away, questioned things, second guessed the connection, did things, said things, even just energetically made changes that have disrupted the flow state between the two of you. There's a sense of like their higher self or their soul not being satisfied with that being kind of the tone upon which the future of this situation unfolds, or kind of the point of silence that sort of ends the connection between the two of you. There's a desire to kind of regroup within themselves and come back towards you in a stronger and more confident energy than they were in before. They also say you were so unexpected. So you definitely have shaken this person out of their comfort zone. They've never met someone like you. They've never been received as they are, kind of like a work in progress, in various ways, in quite such an honest and authentic manner, as they have been by you, which has made them call a lot of things into question. They may be in a period of time now where they're almost shutting a lot of people out of their life and really kind of looking through everything with a finer lens of discernment than had been the case before. They're starting to see how they've kind of settled for crumbs. They may be very good at kind of giving love, but again, they have a hard time receiving love, or believing that somebody wants to come towards them with genuine interest rather than sort of like hidden motives. And so it feels like you've definitely catalyzed some kind of cocoon phase, some kind of growth process within this person, something where it's like, in order to progress to the next level with you, and to not just become an afterthought in your reality, they need to go through some kind of transformation. They need to kind of get to the heart of the matter of what is this woundedness, why everything might have been going so well and then all of a sudden it buckled from their end. And there's a sense of that is very obvious to them. It's very recognized by them. And there's a sense of they haven't just walked away, or some upset hasn't been created in this situation and they're just leaving it at that. They're definitely aware that this has something to do with the energy they've poured in, or that they've kind of refuse to receive from you, or to continue to receive from you very abruptly, very much without explanation. And so it's a sense of kind of just looking at their own reflection at this point in time, and going through kind of a process of being changed ultimately for the better already by you in this connection, which it feels like is very unexpected. They may be expected to connect with you on an emotional level, or they had feelings, but then this has kind of brought up a lot of fears and insecurities. A sense of like, that's the doorway through which they can evolve, is walking through that, confronting those fears and progressing forward towards you anyway, which is almost not the experience of love and partnership that they've ever known before, or that they've ever thought could be like a healthy and good thing, not just for them as an individual, but almost like with what could be built with somebody else. They also say, I don't want to let you down. Yeah, so this person is determined to continue forth through some kind of dark night of the soul, something that may need to change in terms of the life they're living, where their focus has been placed up to this point in time, their relationship with themselves. They've backed off, but they're not wanting to just remain at a distance. They understand that they need to kind of move beyond sort of this energy of resistance or avoidance or running away. It's almost like they're running from their own shadow. You're not putting pressure on them. You're not chasing them. You're respecting them. You're respecting their choice or their boundaries. And so it has them very, very bamboozled. Like, well, what do I do now? How do I deal with this wound that has been activated within me, that you're not sitting there poking at it? You're not sitting there confirming that these were reasonable sort of suspicions, or that I was triggered for my own sort of well-being and safety, but there's a sense of kind of like something almost irrational, or like a deep subconscious fear that has been brought to the surface, that there's a sense of like gratitude almost, that this wound has been illuminated through the agent of like the experience with you, because it's very informative for them as far as like, this is a deficit within myself, this is a weakness within myself, that I owe it to myself and the future that we can possibly create with one another to deal with this, to address this, to do something about this. They also say the changes are real. Yeah, so again, this is somebody who's in the midst of a metamorphosis, behind any sort of silence or anything that has kind of been altered as far as their energy is concerned. There's a lot happening behind the scenes. Could be somebody that's just like in their head, they're overthinking at this point, they're battling their demons. It's kind of like, should I come towards this person? Should I just stay away? Is this connection going to, help to sort of be there as a support system while I'm working through this period of turbulence within myself, trials and tribulations that they may be going through. The idea of kind of releasing a version of themselves, releasing some kind of wounding, some kind of worthiness wound, and really coming into a place of understanding that you're offering love because it aligns with something inside of them that is deeply in need of receiving, that this connection, this experience, even this kind of time of upset can be a point upon which greater healing can be generated individually, and then what you can build with one another. And so it feels like it's very outside of the ordinary from anything they've known, in terms of something that your love has kind of provided a light to aspects within them they didn't even know were hurting. And they've pulled back into that place of hurt, but they're very aware of it. They're fixated on it. And it's like, okay, this is my job to do something about this. And I need to do something about this efficiently and quickly, or I'm going to miss out on the opportunity to progress forward with you. They also say it feels like something is missing without you around. Yeah, so they're very aware of the fact that you add beautiful, positive, uplifting, healthy energies into their life. This may have been kind of the first experience of somebody who, their experience with you, the first experience of someone who's done shadow work, who's done some healing, who hasn't just projected blame and moved in a wounded sense through chapters of their life and reality. There's a sense of almost like your medicine to this person. The experience with you has been very medicinal. It's not just kind of filled a fantasy. It's not just been lust based. There's something on a deeper emotional level that you're almost like a map for this person learning how to sort of heal their own wounds as well. And so there's a sense of almost like they understand that this is a period of introspection, solitary work that needs to happen at this point, something they are aware of within themselves in terms of a deep-seated fear. And there's a sense of, I don't want to let that fear be the barrier. I don't want to miss out on a future that we could have with one another because I was too afraid to hold my wounded self in a place of compassion. I was too unwilling to forgive myself. I was too unwilling to understand or seek and listen for the answers of what the origin of that wound is and what my own soul instinctually will tell me what to do about it. They also say, I hold back because I don't want to be rejected. Yeah, so it feels like they're in kind of a dark place right now. And there's a sense of almost like, I want to approach you with the best foot forward, but I'm not in that energy where I could sustain anything very positive and uplifting for very long. And so it's almost like they feel very vulnerable or exposed at this time. Hearing, I don't want you to see me like this. And so it feels like there's a fear of kind of the darker aspect of them being known by you, maybe just in general because they don't show that to other people, or it could be very early on in your connection with one another, and sort of like, I don't want to come towards you and sort of ruin what we can build with one another and have you see me in sort of a negative light, more so than whatever has transpired in this situation that's led to some kind of confusion, some kind of distance. They also say, I'm protecting this connection. Yeah, so it's almost like this person is keeping the silence at this point, because there's like they're not in a good place. They're confronting their own shadow at this point. They're trying to understand what went wrong. Why all of a sudden did I lose my confidence? Did I buckle? Did I let go? Did I run away? Because there's a sense of, you didn't do anything wrong. You didn't come on too strong. You weren't too aggressive. You were very in the flow with them, in the moment with them, and something within them just got spooked. And so they're looking around within that sort of shadowscape and wondering, what was that? What is the origin of that? Where did that come from? And why is this surfaced at this particular point in time? Everything was going well, and all of a sudden here we are in this place of distance with one another. And so it feels like there's an intention for this person to start to speak again or to move closer to you, but there's almost a sense of like, I need to figure out what is really wrong inside, so at least I have the ability to come towards you, and I've got some sort of plan of action, or I've taken steps to kind of deal with whatever this wound is, whatever this trigger is. And then I can come towards you as a more informed version of self, as a more kind of self-aware version of myself, because that's what you are offering: self-awareness, self-acceptance, self-love. And so there's a sense that they recognize this is a teachable moment within this connection or in their life at this point, to go above and beyond whatever they had thought of self-love as or defined it as. Maybe they never thought of it or defined it at all. And so there's kind of a sense of the universe and something within them saying, okay, to progress forward with this individual in this situation, you need to figure out what that means and how you're doing it right, how you could do it better, how you can start doing it at all. So I'm going to close this reading out with some initials. This can be a first, middle, or last name, or can spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Got E, U, D, A, O, M, T, G, K, N, F, S, O, H, F, C, I, T, A, Y, I, Q, and V. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer those through my Etsy shop, and there's a link to that in the description box of the video. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well.